Fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, welcome everybody back to BWAAA, the King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
Rusty, we are moving to Season 2.
Yeah, Season 2.
That was quick.
Yeah, it did. It kind of flew by.
Honestly,
I wouldn't, I wasn't expecting it to move as fast as it moved, but here we are, Season 2, Episode
fast.
1.
All right, so this is Season 2, Episode 1. Like you said, it is how to fire a rifle without really trying.
Yeah, how to fire a rifle without really trying.
And this is
a big gun episode.
It is a big gun episode. It is a big Bobby and Hank centric episode. They hang out together a lot, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah, it
honestly.
is kind of unusual. Yeah, you're right, definitely.
So we start off. We are at the state fair, obviously, because Big Tex. Yeah, and anybody that's not from Texas or hadn't been to the state fair of Texas. There is, what would you say, 30 stories high?
Oh, yeah, he's big. I'm not sure exactly how big he is, but he's huge, yeah. He's got to probably be about 30 stories high.
And he's dressed all in his Texas gear, and he welcomes people to the state fair, normally. And so we get Big Tex going, howdy, partner.
Yeah.
And so here they are. And then we go over to Hank and Bobby are going to the carnival attractions. So they're doing throw balls. They're doing
throwing balls, throwing ping pong.
Yep.
The shootout or whatever, the BB guns.
Yeah. So first off, they start with the balls, and Bobby,
he's teaching him. Yeah, he's teaching Bobby how to throw a baseball, pretty much.
Right. And he says, "Kick up your leg, Bobby. Arch your back, whip your forearm, snap your wrist." And Bobby chunks it, and the poor guy that's in the booth, he's like, hey.
Yeah, and it just goes nuts. The ball doesn't go where he wants it to, absolutely.
Yeah. And so Hank, in typical Hank fashion, says, Bobby, you better let me throw that last one. This man here is trying to run a business.
Like, I don't know what that has to do with him throwing a baseball, but...
Then we go to the ping pong balls, and I'm assuming this is the goldfish thing, right?
Yeah, where you throw the ping pong and the goldfish.
Yeah, that's got to be really nice for those goldfish.
Yeah.
But he tells him about how ping pong balls are tricky. Excuse me. Ping pong balls are tricky. Don't grip it hard. Throw with finesse, all that stuff. He looks down, and Bobby's got ping pong balls in his mouth and calling himself the commish.
Yeah, look, Dad, I'm commish. I'm commish. Yeah.
So last thing they go to is they've got the BB gun, and they're trying to fire at the ducks and stuff going by.
Yeah, it's real funny because, again, Hank is still trying to teach him, how to shoot, and we'll learn here quickly how not good he is at shooting.
That's right. And so he tells him, line up the sights. It's not cheating. And Bobby takes a shot, and boom, he gets it. And Hank, of course, is like, lucky shot. Good job, son. Lucky shot. And then he tries to tell him, now this time do this with it. And he just starts mowing these things. Yeah, he's just mowing them down. And so they are in the they're on the way home with Peggy in the car. I'm not sure where she was during this time.
She was probably in Lubbock buying shoes.
No, she's
either Amarillo or
she's
wherever
either
it
in
was,
Lubbock buying shoes, Amarillo buying shoes, or she is in that side thing that you go to at the fair where people have made quilts and stuff.
Isn't Big Tex? Where is that fair at then? Is that in like the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I've never been, so I don't know. I mean, I've seen Big Tex, but I've never been to the actual event.
Well, I'm assuming she was in the the side building, looking at the crafts and the quilts.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Hanging out with Min and Nancy, maybe.
That's right. But anyway, she's listening to Bobby regale about his account shooting down these ducks, and he's like, one came up, another one went down, another one went down, just telling her how great it is, and she goes. Hank says he must have killed 1,000 ducks, and Peggy's like 1,000 ducks. That's great. Did you kill any bunnies?
Did you kill any bunnies? And then
I just thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I did too. And then Hank starts bragging about him, saying that he shows a real talent for shooting. Peggy, this could be a sport. Yeah. And then they start talking about getting a rifle, and then she's like, it's too dangerous. He's only 12, so we find out Bobby's 12. This is, I think, the first time his age is
I believe so.
mentioned. And Hank states, well, he's not been too young for 5 years.
Yeah, so
so here
7 is the age you get a kid a gun, apparently in Texas. Yeah.
And then Peggy goes, it would be like giving Boggle to an 8-year-old, even though the box says that that's okay.
That's right. That's right. You don't want to give an 8-year-old Boggle.
Yeah, I don't think an 8-year-old would want Boggle.
No, I don't think so either. But Hank is talking about how he never gets time to spend time with Bobby.
Because he's not good at anything.
Right. He's not good at anything.
I can't hang out with my son because my son sucks at everything that he tries to do. Yeah.
And so he starts pulling out the cats in the cradle thing about how he needs to get with Bobby before Bobby's got his own propane business that he's so busy with. And of course that makes Peggy tear up a little bit.
Yeah, Hank, you're making me tear up. I guess, she's probably disappointed that her son would be a propane salesman and not something else, maybe. Maybe that's why she's teared up.
No, I think she's just tearing up because of the cats in the cradle thing.
Yeah, the cats in the cradle.
Next, we see Hank. He is at Megalo Mart. And
this is my favorite part of the whole thing right here. Where's the children's gun section? Right. Oh, aisle 47. It's over there,
Bobby is super excited. He's got a lot of questions. Can I keep on gun in a room? Can I put bullets in my pocket? Can I put a gun rack on my bike? This one makes Hank stop.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He said, "Do you know how long I've been waiting for you to ask me that?"
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines in this episode too. Just thinking about a gun rack on a bike. I wonder if that's an actual.
I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
where
not anymore.
Where do you put it?
Well, you would have like a basket on the back, or you'd have like a side rail that you like that you could kind of like a horse where you have like the side saddle bag for it, maybe something.
Or maybe
like that.
If you had like one of those hot rod bikes, with the big lean back seat on it or something, maybe you could put it behind it or whatever. The big,
one of the lowrider bikes. Yeah.
And they get to the guns. Bobby's looking at them. He has good feelings about this one or that one. And then Hank, wants to tell him, Bobby, that Marlin is a lot like the first 22 my dad gave me. Yeah. And Marlin, I'm assuming, is the brand of the gun. And so they start talking about, Shin Boy giving Hank a gun when he was little. He said a lot like it. He had a 22. It's kind of a Hill tradition.
Yeah.
And so we're setting up that storyline. About Hank and Cotton shooting guns. So now we're headed over to the gun range.
Dale's gun range, the Arlen Gun Club. I don't think this is the official gun range of the town. I think this is just where all the gun nuts go. So,
could be.
So
Bobby thought it was always a
crack house. And when you pull up, it is reminiscent of what a crack house in Texas
look a little bit like a crack house.
It looks rough. It's a really rough looking building. So
we go inside, and Dale's in there telling everybody, one of his stories, talking about how this guy had the same Snow White camouflage on that he had. Can you even believe it? And then he's like, "Hey, Hank Hill, you finally decided to join the club."
Yeah, it was funny how he did. He just looks over at him and, "Well, Hank Hill, look what the cat dragged in." Kind of response to him.
And Hank tells Dale, "And I'm not here to join. I just want to use the range." And Dale's like, "Well, there's a $2 charge for non-members to shoot here." Bobby says, "What's the membership cost?" Dale says, "Lifetime membership's free."
And then the camera at this time pans around the room to all the ridiculous stuff. There's like a rat head on a mount, and it's just a bunch of ridiculous stuff.
But Hank says, "I'll just pay the $2.
Yeah, I'll just pay the $2
instead of joining the thing for free. He's just gonna pay the $2. We get a comment about Hank's jacket and how Desert Storm it is by Dale.
Yeah, which is wearing a khaki jacket.
And then we've got Hank and Bobby out on the shooting range, and Hank is giving Bobby some tips. He safety's underneath the firing pin. And I hope you're listening because I'm not repeating this.
Yeah.
So he tells Bobby, hey, you got to take it slow. And bam, there goes Bobby. And he just starts knocking them off.
Oh, my
again.
God, the boy can shoot.
Yeah, he's shooting them all right in the center. They pull the target back up. And the guy next door is like, boy, that boy can shoot. And he goes, hell yeah, he's my boy.
He's my boy. And he doesn't hesitate. Yeah, I like that line too. And he tells Bobby, what you've done here is very good. And it's funny because Bobby is kind of a snob about his shooting. Well, I'm a little upset with the grouping. Like it's just dead center, and it's all he was shooting on top of the holes on top of holes. So it was just like this big hole in the middle.
My question is, where did Bobby learn about grouping?
Yeah, well, I mean, he dived into it. I guess that's one thing about Bobby is I think when he's involved in things, he's pretty knknowledgeable about the things he dives into. Yeah, even though he is a little bit of a goober.
So the guy next to him is, hey, y'all ought to enter into the father-son fun shoot, which is brought to you by the Arlen Endowment for the Arts.
Arlen Endowment for the Arts, the AEA. Yeah.
So Hank is very excited. He's save your money, mister. We're in. Bobby's great. His father and son thing's finally going to pay off. And
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And then Hank sends him inside and says he's going to shoot now. It sends Bobby in for some more bullets. Talks about how the last time he had a gun in his hands was when a Bush was in the White House, and not that Herbert H. Walker Bush either.
Yeah, he said last time, I bet you there was a Texan in the White House. And I ain't talking about Herbert Walker Bush either.
That's right. And now we get Hank trying to shoot a gun. And Hank starts shaking and sweating. And
you can hear his dad screaming, what are you waiting for, boy? Pull the trigger.
And he has
Make some noise. Yeah.
Has the big flashback.
Make some noise.
Make some noise. He knows you can't shoot.
Never going to be a war hero.
And little Hanky, he's like, I want my binky back.
Yeah, he said, if you want your binky back, you got to come in firing.
That's right.
I thought that was funny, too. He asked for his binky, and his dad's like, you better grab that gun. You got to shoot out of here for that binky.
That's right. Now we're back at the Hank Hill house, and Bobby's looking through the NRA magazine, and he's like, that's a nice gun. That's a cool gun. And Hank's just responding with, yep. And Peggy's like, oh, it's so nice to see you guys talking.
Yeah, he looks very like, now that he's known that he can't shoot and he feels like he's about to disappoint his son, he doesn't, like he's making up every excuse in the book, which is funny, later on when they're talking and everything, and he starts to sound like what does Bobby call a loser? That's loser talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bobby says this gun's very nice, and Hank's just had his limit. He's they're all nice guns, and all guns are nice.
Yeah.
And so Peggy is asking about how it went. It went great. Bobby says he hit the center every time. She's really proud of him. Says no time at all you'll be better than your father.
And he gets kind of like pinpricked by that, and he goes, well, what's that supposed to mean? Let's see him hold down a job and be he's a 12-year-old that's good at shooting. Yeah. He's talking about let him hold down a job and see if he can shoot that good.
Bobby then spots these father and son ponchos that zip together and wants to know if he can get those for the tournament. And Hank is like, well, before we start buying a bunch of stuff, and Hank's really trying to push this thing aside now. He's
definitely. He's trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
You can tell he's trying to get out of it.
Let's make sure we're not getting to another tap dance lesson situation here.
Yeah, which I imagine for Hank, I mean, it's probably realistic to say that because he's probably paid for a lot of different things at this point.
Oh, yeah. Improv classes.
Yeah, improv classes, clown shoes, whatever else Bobby's involved in, especially video games. He's paid for at least the Game Boy and and a console system, too.
Has to be a lot, yeah. So Hank, trying to push it off, says, why don't we get you in one of those safety courses, and once they've sucked all the fun out of it, then we'll see if you still like it.
Yeah.
So now we go to the safety class. We got a guy who is missing an arm and who has an eye patch, and he is giving them the what for about gun safety. I didn't know it was loaded. It's not an acceptable excuse. I wasn't there, or I never met those people. Are better excuses.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Anyway, then when I was your age, I used to get so excited about hitting the target, I'd run right out onto the range. Now that's how I lost this thumb and later this eye.
Yeah, if it weren't for the NRA safety guidelines, I'd be a stub.
Well, he says the NRA safety guidelines I eventually accepted.
I'd be a stub. Yeah.
So Bobby asks about discharging the magazine, and then says put on the safety. And again, he's out there shooting, and these guys are like, "Holy crap, he's hitting the center every time."
Yeah.
You know, he shot 6 shots, all dead center.
And he looks at him and says, "I know." And then that guy runs out.
Yeah, he runs out in front of everybody. He's like, "Hey, look at this!
Hey, everybody, look at this!"
Yeah. So Hank, again, is trying to put this thing aside. He's
coming up like he went from making excuses to making excuses. He put out what was his excuses here?
I'm busy.
Too busy. New propane season's coming up. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean.
He was going to check into buying Dorland's
motorcycle,
which is weird.
Yeah,
I can't see Hank on a motorcycle. Yeah.
Yet I can't see no one yet.
Yeah. And Bobby's like, well, but you said if I was still interested, and I'm still interested.
Yeah.
And then we get the input from Peggy. Hank, you love guns. Bobby loves guns. Carpe diem.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Carpe diem, or however she says it. Yeah, she
so
butchers
weird.
it.
Yeah.
She butchered it for sure.
She thinks she's so high class. Bobby, now the guys are going out to practice, but they're going out real early. And
yeah.
Bobby's like, why do we have to practice so early? Hank said, I just want you to get used to the pressure of shooting when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
This is all just Hank trying to get out of it because he can't shoot a gun.
All of a sudden you have Hank trying to shoot, and Bobby is giving him tips now. He's like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you steady yourself? Close one eye. How can you hit anything the way you're holding it? Don't grip the barrel so hard. It requires finesse.
And then he slips into his dad.
Yeah. Now we get the flashback. Someday soon, all of you will be drafted into war. Some of you, like Hank, will be killed.
Yeah. Others can shoot and may become war heroes. Now commence to fire.
Yeah. And then we go back to present day with Hank, and he's like, something's wrong with my rifle. I just can't shoot today. Bobby's like, oh, let me see it. Come on, I bet I can fix it. You can't fix it. It's in the shaft. And Bobby's like, there's no shaft on a gun.
There's no shaft on a gun. And this is where we get a celebrity guest appearance here. So the voice of the next guy that we meet, which is the sports psychologist, is Wallace Shawn.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, inconceivable. So it would be the Princess Bride. Mm-hmm. He was on he's been in every Toy Story film. Yeah. And he was Rex, the voice of the T-Rex, the dinosaur. Oh, yeah. He was in Clueless.
He's done some great work.
Just for everybody, just a few movies he's done.
He is a wonderful character actor.
He did really good in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, too. That's the one I watched him in. He played a character called Grand Nagus Zek in Star Trek.
God bless you. Yeah, that I have no idea about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he says, he just kind of moseys up to Hank and says, it's tough shooting out there. Keeping a gun steady can take a lot out of a man. Hank, well, number one, when the guy sits down, Hank moves over immediately, like inches over some. And he's like, do you mind? I'm trying to sit here. I'm trying to sit here. And so this guy, he starts telling Hank about how he thinks he can help him because he's a sports psychologist. He said he worked with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and then he asks him when.
He says when. He goes, last season.
And this season here that he would be talking about would be the season after their Super Bowl season. So they went to the Super Bowl in 96 after Jimmy Johnson got fired. Yeah. And then they hired Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer took them to that one Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's team. Right. And then that following year, they were just absolutely garbage. And I guess that's the year he's talking about.
He says, I worked with the Cowboys. Hank goes, when? He goes, last season. He goes, goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye.
But he starts talking about how, research has shown that athletic performance is 10% physical and 100% mental. Hank's like that adds up to
110%.
Right, breakthrough. But Hank's asking him about, do you just hang out here waiting for people to miss a lot? Well, just in the mornings when the lousy shots arrive. In the afternoons, I go to the bowling alley.
Yeah, losers are very predictable, which is kind of funny with this character. His name is Philip Nye, but they drew him as well to also look like the voice actor. So I don't know if they picked the voice actor and then drew him or what, but that was one of the little tidbits.
So now we're back to Bobby, and Bobby wants to know about practicing for the tournament after school. Mm-hmm. Hank's like, no, I'd have to come get you, then go back over there. It'd waste a good 10 minutes. He said that, what about shooting after dinner? No, you don't want to exercise on a full stomach.
Yeah, no.
And then Bobby's best follow-up to that is maybe I could take the guns to school and we could squeeze off a few rounds between classes.
Yeah.
Hank's like, you shouldn't take guns to school with you. They're dangerous. And then Bobby says,
guns are dangerous? And this kind of makes me laugh right here because as soon as he says guns are dangerous, all three of his buddies, and it's kind of funny because at first it's just like Dale pops up behind the fence, and then they all start side shuffling, and it's all three of them.
So they're all standing out there drinking beer, just listening to other people's conversations.
Yeah, and then you got Bill, and he goes, "Well, what's this thing about guns being dangerous?"
Yeah, that's right. They kill people.
Guns don't kill people. The government does.
That's Dale.
Yeah, Dale.
Of course.
Yeah.
But my favorite part is Bill saying, Hank, guns have been around for years. They were dangerous. I think someone would have said something. So Hank, also, I love this quote. Most deaths in the home, this is Hank talking, most deaths in the home are from guns and gun accessories.
Gun accessories.
Gun accessories.
Yeah, what's
what
a gun accessory?
So Dale quizzes him, guy breaks into your house. How are you going to shoot him? Well, number one, that's the only option.
That's the only option. How are you going to shoot him? And then Hank tells Dale that's right out of the NRA magazine August issue.
That's it.
Then we get a Boomhauer isms, some isms here from Boomhauer. I tell you what, that dang old NRA is all right, man. Them insurance gets you with dismemberment and all. You get $20,000 just because your arm blows off, man.
So Hank starts talking about the NRA, and Hank is very defensive at this point because he doesn't want anybody knowing he's got this issue.
Yeah, he's trying to surprise. He's trying to get everybody else riled up.
Yeah, and so he's asking Dale, "Hey, Dale, the NRA is in Washington D.C. Do you support Washington D.C.?"
Yeah,
and Dale's like, "That's a thinker.
That's a thinker."
Watch us fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas.
Yeah. So now we're at the part where Bobby is really concerned that they're not going to be able to do this, and so he just basically takes his vest and all his other stuff off, and he's just going to throw it in the trash. Peggy catches him trying to throw it in the trash, and she's like, "Hey, you've been sleeping in that vest for 2 weeks." And Bobby's like, "Well, I think I messed up. I made Dad not like guns anymore." Peggy's like, "Well, that can't be true. Your father's love for guns is unconditional."
Yeah.
And then Bobby's just questioning, why didn't he want to shoot in the tournament with me anymore? Is he afraid I'm going to embarrass him?
Yeah, he thinks it's about him.
That's a bad thing. Yeah, Bobby thinks
Bobby's
it's him.
turning everything on himself because there's so many times in his life where he's been enthusiastic about something and his dad is just shit all over it. And it's something that he thought, since it's such a... In Texas, it's such a rite of passage or a manly thing in some areas of Texas to participate in gun activities. And now his dad is like the one manly thing that Bobby is good at outside of golf. So this is the second time that he's been naturally, because he was naturally good at golf.
Yeah.
So this is the
at
second
least
thing.
once.
Yeah, at least once.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird how Hank's acting, for sure, for Bobby especially.
So Peggy is questioning Hank now, what's going on with you? What happened? He goes, "Well, you were right. Bobby is too young for a gun." And they go back and forth, and she talks about how Bobby's not going to let him down, and all that. Hank's finally like, "Peggy, I can't shoot." And this to me was like a Hallmark moment or something. So Peggy turns around and she's like, "I still love you, no matter what," even though he can't shoot.
Which is funny because he thinks that it's going to be some kind of like big, wrench in the gears of their relationship that he can't shoot.
Hank also thinks the whole town's he's going to be a laughingstock to the whole town.
I mean, he's got a narrow urethra and no ass.
That's right.
And she's been with him this long, you know what I mean? So
yeah. But she's like, Bobby's finally found something he's good at.
Yeah.
You can't just rip that away from him.
Yeah.
And Hank's like, "Well, life's not fair, so it's a good lesson for the boy."
Yeah, good lesson for the boy.
Yeah, and she's got a fair point. She's like, "What if they never let you play football? You'd still have that little bone in your ankle, but you would not have any of the memories." Right.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh, okay."
And so Hank's like, screw it. And he tells Bobby to go get his clothes out of the trash. We're going to need them for the contest. Bobby's super excited now because now he can shoot with him. We have to win. Hills always win. You've never lost anything in your life. And Hank's like, well, you can't always expect to win. And Bobby, of course, is regurgitating what Hank's told him over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. He's telling him, I won't choke. And then his dad's trying to say, well, some people just choke sometimes. It's all good, son. And he's, he keeps going on. He said, we just got to be proud that God took the time to give us a fault. That's loser talk.
Bobby's like, yeah, that's loser talk.
You taught me that. No Hill's ever been a loser. We fought for Texas at the Alamo, which is
I don't know about that, but okay.
Well, even if they did have a hill at the Alamo, it was a loss.
You're right.
It was a big loss.
He is just super happy about getting the trophy. So next, Hank has decided, okay, I'm going to go see this sports psychologist. Lays down a few ground rules when he goes into his office, though. He says,
he didn't just lay him down. He yells at this dude. He walks into this guy's office and just yells this whole stream of consciousness at him.
I don't believe in any of that gobbledygook about the subconscious or any other witchcraft. I won't take pills. I won't let you hypnotize or molest me.
And then the guy goes, well, I can help you without using witchcraft pills and molestation, but it won't be easy.
It won't be easy.
It won't be easy.
That's right. So he starts talking to him about visualization. Imagine a dart flying from your gun to the target. Don't pull the trigger until you can see it.
And then he starts to slip back into hearing his dad again, calling him shaky, telling him to close the other eye or I'll poke it out.
He's going to poke it out. Yeah, I'm going to close that eye or I'm going to poke it out. And so Hank starts talking about how whenever he starts to shoot, he aims and he remembers himself as a boy and Cotton yelling at him.
And then the therapist tells him you're wasting valuable session time. It's funny because he's trying to give him, I understand what the psychologist is doing. He's trying to just get him into the mindset of, push out everything and just focus on the one task that you're doing. But I think it's funny that he starts telling him the root cause of the inability to shoot.
He's like, oh, you're wasting time.
You're wasting my time. Yeah, I don't care about your dad. What's your dad got to do with this?
So he tells Hank, well, you got to start visualizing, stay relaxed. Why don't you visualize it as a butterfly?
I'm not imagining a butterfly.
Taking the dart and flying it to the target. He said, I'm not imagining a butterfly. How about a hummingbird? How about a McDonnell Douglas L1011 wide body?
Which is kind of funny, and it's a goof there. The McDonnell Douglas L1011 doesn't exist. It was manufactured by Lockheed, so it's a Lockheed 1011. So it's an L1011 by Lockheed.
There you go. So now he says, okay, now we need to add some audio to this visualization of this McDonnell or whatever plane flying in. He says, say it out loud. To the end of the rainbow.
I'm not saying, and it just interrupts him. Say whatever you want. Yeah. Prepare for top speed.
That's right.
They killed me. I died laughing. Thought that was funny.
So now we're at the competition. Hank has gone through his practice here, or his visualization, or whatever. And Peggy tells him how her fingers are crossed for him, and all of that. The guy starts talking about all the formats and all the different kind of shooting competitions today. He goes, format for today is the same as last year. Start with the tandem shoot, then the quick draw, followed by the pretend to be sleeping, grab the loaded gun under the bed and shoot a figure in the shadows. Then to our favorite event, the all new and expanded simulated hunting experience that we all like to call the gauntlet. And finally, just in case some of the dads have been doing all the work, independent long range accuracy shooting. So they're all ready to go. This competition has started.
Bobby's hyped up too. Come on, Dad, let's bag us a trophy.
That's right.
And have fun.
Right. Well, and Hank's like, and have fun.
Yeah.
And so they go to the tandem shoot, and there's Hank shaking a little bit. He has to say, prepare for top speed, all of that kind of stuff. And he misses. And Bobby's like, that wasn't a practice round. And Hank's trying to get over this thing with just got to make a little adjustment and that kind of stuff. Finally, Hank busts out something rainbow going to the rainbow.
Yeah.
And he hits it.
Yeah, he hits it.
So Bobby's like, hey, good going. He's like, over the rainbow. I guess I'm falling into my groove to the end of the yellow brick road. How about a little fire scarecrow?
Yeah.
So there is a 2-point deduction there because Hank messes up a little bit.
Yeah.
And but he looks up at the scoreboard and he's like, hey, look at that. We're in second place.
Yeah.
Because I think he's just basically stopped thinking about it, and just started to shoot.
Yeah, and then I guess it's Bobby that comes out here. It says the McKays just came out of the gauntlet, and the younger one blew away.
That's Luann.
No, Luann. Luann
comes running up. Good news. The McKays just came out of the gauntlet. The younger one blew away an entire picnicking family.
That means we're tied for first.
That's right. And then here comes Cotton. Sorry, I'm late. I had to stop by the Wax Museum again and give the finger to FDR.
That's like one of my all-time favorite Cotton lines. Yeah, I had to give the finger to FDR. Yeah.
And there's Bobby. He's super excited because he's Gramps. She came, and Cotton's like, I'm always here to support my Bobby. That's it. He doesn't say anything
about Hank. I'm always here to support my Bobby.
Yeah.
I give you a shoulder to cry on.
You'll need one, won't he, Hank? Yeah, it's just rough, man. I don't understand why he's so mean to Hank. But anyway, Hank is like, no, he's not going to need that shoulder. As a matter of fact, we're tied for first. Bobby's like, all we have left is the accuracy round. And then
here comes Cotton. Accuracy. Better hope the target's the side of a barn.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Hank is just like, he's over it at this point. He's, come on, Bobby, let's just remember, son, we're out here to do our best. And so Bobby says to that, that's because we are the best, Dad. I mean, Bobby, honestly, to his credit, he is really trying to make this thing work. You know, I mean, he's so excited just to be with his dad, and he's excited to shoot and all this stuff. And so, anyway, Cotton elbows somebody in the crowd, and he's like, that's my grandson. And his father.
Yeah, and his father.
And then Bobby, he's like, hey, guess what? If they miss this next shot, we win.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to win that way.
No.
He wants to win by shooting. Yeah.
And so here's Cotton up in the stands. Come on, Hank, I got money riding on this shot on the McKays. So he's betting,
on the McKays,
he's actively betting
against
his son and his grandson.
Well, I mean, it's probably a safe bet. Hank's not generally known to choke, but I just don't see this going well.
Yeah. So Hank starts kind of talking himself through it. And you hear, okay, Hank, it's time for takeoff. You know what to do. It's not just for you. It's for Bobby. You know, you just need to focus. Stop talking to yourself. Oh, wait, you're still talking? Wait, are you here to talk? Are you here to shoot? I'm here to shoot. In a discussion. Let's do it.
Which is kind of weird. Like, for Hank to have that kind of, like, conversation with himself is real weird. That's like a Bill thing or, like, a Dale in the middle of a psychosis trip thing. Or
it's definitely a Bill thing.
Like, even Peggy doesn't do stuff like that. So it was kind of weird to see Hank having this, you know, outer dialogue, like it's an inner dialogue, but he's just vocalizing it. It's kind of odd. I don't know. I like that. It's kind of weird.
So Hank takes that shot, but he does miss.
Yeah, miss.
And so the McKays win again. And he's like, "Well, where's Bobby?" And Bobby comes around the corner, and he is super friggin' excited,
around the corner.
Man.
Yeah, we did it, Dad.
Second place in father-son tournament.
Which, come on, like to be honest, if you're out there with your kid, you're having a good time, and you manage to pull second in a shooting contest, that's still good. Nobody's upset about that. You still go get ice cream and pizza.
I think there only might have been 2 teams, but still.
Still, you know.
But anyway, he's super excited. He wants to put the trophy on his wall. He's talking about how great they are. It's the best day ever. You're the best dad ever.
I'm the best son ever.
It's a big deal, man, you know. And then he said, can we do it again next year? And Hank's like, yeah, we can do it again if that's what you want. And I mean, honestly, all that worrying by Hank, all of the shakes, all of the, you know, everything, and Bobby's just super happy
to be with
his dad. Yeah,
he doesn't even care. And that's the whole thing about Bobby is he just wants his dad to accept him for who he is. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants to be accepted by his dad.
Yep. And so they start walking towards the car. Bobby feels like ice cream. He, you know, Hank's like, that sounds good. You can tell that just the whole weight is lifted off of Hank at this point.
Yeah, which it should be. I mean, like, I know why they do it because it's a part of a character for a TV show. But I just find it so odd how he handles his relationship with his kid.
No kidding, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at who he had for an example.
Yeah, you know? His example wasn't that great. So I guess compared to the example, he does a damn good job.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, he does a wonderful job.
And so they're walking to the car. He feels like ice cream. It sounds good. Where do we park? And he said that way.
And they start walking to the truck, and then he realizes, oh yeah, we forgot Mom. Well, let's go get her. Yeah.
And then we get our credits. And so. Overall, great episode. Really
good episode.
Introduced a lot more of that whole thing that Cotton has hanging over Hank's head.
Yeah, it really showed their dynamic a little bit more.
Yeah, and just the dynamic of Hank and Bobby getting along.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of trivia, not too much.
Hang on, one more thing. After all the credits, we get
I want my binky back. The Stinger quote. Yeah, so we'll now, I guess since they started at the very end of season 1, so we'll always have the Stinger quote to hit at the end.
Yeah.
So this episode was actually I want to say it was written and produced. It was directed, sorry. It was written by Paul Lieberstein, which we know as Toby from The Office, but it was directed by a guy named Adam Kuhlman, and he was one of those longtime TV guys, longer than just regular TV. He did stuff in the 80s. I don't know if you know of this particular 80s animated movie called Fire and Ice.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was
Fire
the animator.
and Ice is a Don Bluth thing, right?
Yeah, it's like an animated.
It was, I believe, after Heavy Metal, and it was like they were trying to do a follow-up kind of thing. You know, there was a big interest in a lot of that rock and roll animation stuff.
Yeah, well, this guy did. He was an animator for Fire and Ice.
Cool.
He did He-Man and the Masters of the Universe TV series, Seabert, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, the Smurfs.
Wow.
Yeah, new Yogi. He did the 80s reboot of Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Dino Riders in the Ice Age. Fern Gully, he was an animator for.
Oh, wow. That's another Don Bluth.
Yeah, it's a Don Bluth one. Yeah, you're right. He did What's New Scooby-Doo, a little bit of King of the Hill. After King of the Hill, he went on to do the Simpsons movie, and he did a lot of the Simpsons stuff too, I guess, as a lot of these guys are all in the same Fox studio house. Mm-hmm. So he did, alongside of King of the Hill, he also dibbled and dabbled in The Simpsons.
Well, can you imagine like being employed at Fox at this time? You know, they were the only ones doing animation.
Not only were they the only ones doing animation, they were the only ones that were targeting animation for adults.
Right. ABC, NBC, CBS, none of those guys were doing it.
And nobody, and if you think about it right now, nobody has done it. They've tried and failed because for some reason Fox is the only one that was able to do some successful
deal. They know
deal.
what to do. Yeah.
And so this is also whenever he mentions the last time he fired a rifle, a Texan was in the White House.
Right.
So for that trivia there was only 2 presidents before Herbert Walker that were Texans in his potential life frame. So Dwight D. Eisenhower was a Texan and Lyndon Johnson was a Texan. So I'm going to imagine that since Lyndon was from 63 to 69, it was probably Lyndon that he was talking about on that one.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a disclaimer, I kind of wanted to add this since there's been a lot of stuff going on. It is a gun episode, and I didn't want to shy away from everything that's going on right now. And just be safe with guns, people. And,
no kidding, right?
If you have any, issues or anything with anybody around you, please don't hesitate to report those people, because I would prefer not to be at the local grocery store with gunfire. Yep. So,
well, the other thing I would like to say in response to that is we are in Texas and everybody does seem to have a gun, but mental health care also needs a big shot in the arm, because I don't think we have much of it.
No, and especially for
that's a real issue
for young males.
Yep.
And it's and you see it a lot in themes in King of the Hill. It's a lot of swallow your feelings type mentality and hold your emotions in kind of thing. And
it's funny,
that's what causes a lot of these mental health problems.
It's funny they call them incels and stuff. These guys who are spurned by every woman they've ever known, and everybody makes fun of them and stuff, but nobody helps them.
Yeah, nobody tries to get to the root cause of it. They make a lot of memes and jokes, and it's all fun to joke and meme, but at the end of the day, we have to set that aside and realize that it's a real issue. And shout out to Mike Chisholm and the work that they're doing with He Changed It, and their mental health efforts as well. And hate to leave on that note, but
no, it's a good thing. Every once in a while, we gotta put something out there to be responsible.
Yeah, especially with the gun episode. Yeah. And with the last 2 days, we've had 2 mass shootings.
Yeah, it's been a little rough
this week.
So. Everybody, thank you again for joining us. Next week we've got season 2, episode 2. Yeah. And we're gonna keep this train rolling. Thank you guys all for listening. We really appreciate it. We have a lot of unique listeners, which is a real great metric for us. It's not just downloads; it's unique listeners. We love the fact that there's so many of you out there listening to us, and
we appreciate it.
We just can't thank you enough.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You can find us on all social medias at BWAAA KOTH, BWAAA KOTH,
which you're doing a great job with, by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then you can also find us and all the other great shows at RogueMediaNetwork.com.
Yeah, and don't forget to go check all the great episodes we've got coming out.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. You guys join us again next week, and thanks again for being here.
I want my banky back. Wimatanya. Bah.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.